Criminal defense attorney Ryan Pacyga here, and today I wanted to give you a little bit of a feedback on a common question that I get from people, which is, if I'm accused of a crime, will it make me look guilty if I hire a lawyer? And that's obviously a natural thing people are wondering about, right? Police have maybe called you, they want to get a statement from you, they want you to call them back or come down to their offices to talk with them. And the question is, well, wait a minute, I feel like I haven't done anything wrong, but if it was going to make me look guilty if I hire a lawyer or tell them that I want to have a lawyer with me. And people struggle with that because on the one hand, they don't want to do anything that's going to hurt themselves. And some people might even tell you, well, if you haven't done anything wrong, you don't have anything to hide, so don't get a lawyer. And they're always worried, of course, that, well, if they do get a lawyer, even if they haven't done anything wrong, that it'll just make them look guilty. And the reality is that sometimes police will sort of pressure someone to not get a lawyer and to just come in. And the reason is this. Police are trained in order to try to get you to come down to their police department or to have a conversation with them in the back of their squad or whatever without getting a lawyer. They're trained to do that, right? And there's some training for that, obviously, because they don't want people to be able to have time to think about how to answer a question. Sometimes they want them to incriminate themselves. But the worst case scenario is once in a while, a police officer may already have their mind made up about what they think happened. And so that might affect their ability to conduct a fair investigation, right? So all of these things are in play. Let me tell you, after having worked as a lawyer now for 22 years, I have represented police officers. I have represented judges' family members. I have represented people who have worked for courts and other first responders, and you name it, right? And I've even represented other lawyers. I can tell you that the first thing that most police officers want to do if they're being asked if they've committed a crime or are being investigated is call a lawyer. Same with judges' family members. Same with people who work in the courts or in the criminal justice system itself. So it doesn't make you look guilty if you seek the advice and have a lawyer advising you about whether or not you should go in and make a statement or have a lawyer involved if you do decide to make a statement. It just makes you look smart because you've got rights, and it's not law enforcement's job to protect all of your rights all the time. Their job is to try to investigate things and determine if a crime occurred and deal with it if a crime did occur. But they don't always get that right. Sometimes they're fooled, sometimes they're lied to, or sometimes they have a bias where they think they know what happened, even if they're wrong about it, and you're the target. So it doesn't make you look guilty if you get a lawyer while you're being investigated for a crime, number one. And second, even if an officer thinks, well, you might be hiding something if you get a lawyer, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you've got one shot to handle this investigation the right way. Your future may be at stake. And so if you're being investigated with a crime, I think it is a good idea certainly to consult with a lawyer to determine whether or not you should move forward in an investigation without a lawyer or not. And then usually if you're being investigated, to have a lawyer representing you during that investigation to protect you, because you don't always know what all of your rights are. You might think you know from watching TV or reading books or hearing stories, but you can't always be right about that thing. There's a lot of myths out there in the world. Second of all, you're not able to remain objective about your own situation. That's why they say, for example, a lawyer who represents themselves as a fool for a client. It's not a good idea to represent yourself. So if you have someone objective that's detached from the actual happenings in the case, who can still advocate for you and protect you, but can make objective decisions not based on emotion, for example, you're in a better situation. And you'll get that counsel from an experienced criminal defense lawyer who can steer you right so that you don't end up shooting yourself in the foot during an investigation and maybe opening yourself up to charges that you may not open yourself up to if you have a lawyer. And even if you are going to get charged down the road, you haven't made your case worse by getting a lawyer before you're charged. So it doesn't make you look guilty by getting a lawyer while you're under investigation. That is what the overwhelming majority of people who work in the criminal justice industry do if they're ever under investigation for anything. And I hope that's helpful for you just to know, because that's a question a lot of people have. And I like answering questions that people have in order to help them be educated about this process and make these important decisions If you have more questions, I'm criminal defense attorney Ryan Pacyga. You can find me at arrestedmn.com, or you can call me at 612-339-5844.